the Institution for Higher Learning in Common Law, where we train people not to be sheep. And now for your host, Professor Brad Parsons.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
All right.
Good evening. Last week we ended up by partially covering the Fourth Amendment, and this week we'll delve into it in more detail. I don't hear the background noise, so I don't think they're unmuted.
Oh, we are.
Yep. There we go. Okay. Yep. Any comments on that?
You know, Brad, the documents that I've seen on this, as far as a search warrant, it's so wide, and they come in like the Nazis in Germany, and will just rip and pillage everything in there when they're only supposed to be looking for the big 60-inch screen TV. And they basically turn it into a witch hunt to see what else can be found.
Yeah, and that's why I brought that up. I can't tell you how many times I've seen something like that happen, where they were looking for television sets or car engines or things like that, and you see them pawing through drawers in the bedroom where underclothing and socks and things like that are kept. You see them going through canisters in the kitchen to see if they can find baggies of heroin or whatever. And that is a gross violation. And if they find dope like that, any attorney worth his salt can get that thrown out. It's called fruit of the poisonous tree. And it means that any evidence that was gotten illegally like that can't be used itself, and if that evidence leads to other evidence, the other evidence it leads to can't be used.
You know, there's been a lot of cases in South Texas where someone is pulled over and the cop will ask them, do you mind if I search your car? And they'll say, well, no. And they'll find 250 pounds of marijuana in it. When, had they said, yes, I do mind, you can't search my car, then that could have turned into a completely different case.
Yeah, and generally what happens is it starts out with, after asking your driver's license and whatnot, the police officer will ask a question like, do you have anything in the car that you don't want me to know about? And generally speaking, whether they do or not, the person will say, well, no, of course not. And then he'll say, do you mind if I look? And the thing that goes through your mind at that time is, man, I just told him there's nothing in here. Why would I mind if he looked? So I'll try to bluff this out. No, go ahead. It's okay. Hoping that you'll say, well, never mind. Guess what? He doesn't say never mind. I go back to my statement that we just made here a little while ago. I don't answer questions. Well, I'd like to look in your car. I don't give consent for that. I don't answer questions. Well, do you have anything in your car? I don't answer questions.
Hey, Brad?
Yes.
I put together a piece of paper based on some videos that I watched, and I haven't had the courage to do it yet, but it essentially says everything that you just said. It starts off by saying, I stand on my Fifth Amendment, and it's something that you can put up against your driver's side window when they come, and it basically, it's pretty short. It's got like maybe 4 sentences, and it goes on to say, if you want to give me a ticket, please put it under the windshield wiper.
Well,
what do you think about something like that?
I don't like it because they're going to take you to jail. If they're going to issue you a ticket, you have to you have to sign it. Well, who's the other guy, Joseph?
Eddie Craig.
Eddie Craig came up with something, and he was a police officer for a long time too, and I didn't know this, but it stands to reason. when you get pulled over, whether you've got dope in the car, whether you've been smoking, that doesn't matter what. Roll up all the windows in your car. That stops a cross draft. And then when the police officer comes up to you, crack your window down about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Nothing is going to blow any odor in your car out through that window because there's no cross draft. You can hand your driver's license and your registration, your insurance, and all that kind of stuff out to him. I've heard some people say, that they get cute and say, well, here's a driver's license, but it's really not mine. The guy that it depicts on there is dead, and I just carry it around for him. And they'll know what you're talking about. But I would not just say put it on the car, because when he gets done issuing the citation, he's going to knock on your window and tell you need to sign this. And if you don't sign it, we've already been through that, I'm thinking. But if you don't sign it, you have not promised to appear, and he's going to take you to jail. Rather than do that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
In Pennsylvania, I don't think that's the case. I don't think I've signed even half of my citations. Probably.
Really?
Probably. Yeah. My wife said she's never signed one either.
Wow. There you go. That's every state that I have lived in. I've lived in California, New York, Massachusetts, Texas, but all of those states require a signature. If you don't sign it, you're going to jail.
Can we count on the Four Corners law?
Yes. The Four Corners law, it means that anything that is within four corners is separate. So when you sign your name, you can draw a box around it. And the judge knows that signature is not on that ticket. You can also, and I highly recommend this, you can do it so small it can barely be read, but if you do it legibly, it works. Right above your signature, write the words something like "without prejudice," and then UCC 1-308, and then sign it underneath. And that means that you reserve all your rights. You're not giving any up. And if you want to do that and put a box around it too, great. Absolutely. The cop probably won't know what it means, but the judge should.
Hey, Brad. Yes. This is David Watley.
Yes.
Hey, Eddie Craig had a thing that said that when you get pulled over for speeding, let's say, and the cop comes up, you've got all your windows rolled up except you cracked it, and you're talking to the officer, he wants your driver's license and registration. I think he said that you don't give him anything. Now, you're right, you have to identify yourself, name, address, and date of birth, but by giving him your driver's license, doesn't that imply that you are driving under that license?
And well, the reason Eddie Craig says that is because most of us don't know when our driver's license expires, and yours may be expired. And by you giving him that driver's license, you have just handed over incriminating evidence. And you don't have to do that. You're not required to do that. Okay. You are required to identify yourself. Yeah. But the problem with that is, and the reason I don't recommend it, is there are a number of police officers out there who will unsnap their asps from their belt and take your windshield out and drag your window out and drag you out through the window. If you want to put up with that, that's fine. If you're going to take that course of action, I would recommend that as soon as you see the red lights, you dial a friend and keep them on the phone so that there's a witness as to what's happening. Mm-hmm. Now, some phones can also, while you're on the phone, you can also record. And if you can do that, I would recommend that you do that. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be taking that type of action, if you're going to put yourself in that type of jeopardy, I would have another recording device someplace in the car.
Okay.
So
for evidence at the federal lawsuit. I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not only that, but you can file complaints with the police department that this guy works for, and there are many police departments that have good internal affairs sections. They will investigate it.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
Eddie Craig's partner will as soon as he sees the lights come on and the police walk up to the side of his car, he'll call 911 because that tape doesn't get destroyed. And he'll tell them that there's an armed man outside my car, and I'm concerned. Send the sheriff out here.
Yeah, I heard about that. And then, if I'm not mistaken, when the sheriff gets there, he tells him to arrest the police officer.
Exactly right, because he's not in commerce, and this guy's trying to, under color of law, entrap him into something. So arrest him, and then that's when the boogie dance starts between the two officers. Wait a minute, is this guy really going to arrest me?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Eddie's got a lot of good things.